have understood that session state is something which actually moves across different pages for the same session we have, right? And the session is something which you can actually monitor, or you can actually control from session state attribute, right, which is a configuration, right? And normally if you don't mention any timer for session, then it will be 20 minutes of time, right? And you can have a cookie or cookieless session, right, which you can actually make it out. So this is what we have here. So where we can actually get into details. So let's see the next one, which is application state. Right. Now, what exactly is the application state we have here? Now, when we compare to session state, right, application state have got a higher scope, right, where it stays till application state is live, right? So until the application is live, it actually will be the session. I mean, the application state will actually be saved. Right? So now what we have to do is we'll have to keep this session. Application state will run in all sessions, right? Will be same across sessions, across the pages, and until we actually restart application or down the server and up it again, right? It will always stay same. Now let's see how we can actually achieve that. I'm going to create. Now let me create two pages, or we can actually use the same page as such. So let's use the same page here. So we have page 5 and page 6, right? So we are new session. So either you can use application here, where let's say I'm going to page 5. So in place of session, let's say I'm going to use application, right? So where this is how we normally set application state key and value variables. Right? You have application and your key, application and your key here, right? So here you have application state, this, right? So we have this set the details for the application. Similarly, what we have done is we are actually checking whether the value is there in application set, and then we are actually getting the count and same thing. In this whole session, we are actually using application. So let's do the same thing in page 6 also. Right, where you can see I've replaced all the session over here. Now let's go to the configuration. So initially we have set our cookieless as true, right? Let's first see the false, right? Where obviously whenever you start your any of the page, right, it will actually create one session. It will create one session for each page, and across the pages we'll see how it actually works. So let me run this. Okay, let me keep on counting. Right, we have one. Right, let me continue this. And now let me, in the same session, let me go to the next page. When I go to the page 6, you can see the counter is same. And now increment it for. Now let me copy this URL and go to some other page now, which where I'll have some other session. Right, now you can see here that the last count that will continue, right, where you can see I'll just drawn it again. Let's say I've actually made this something called 19. I'll go to page 5 and see in this session again this counter is maintained, which means my application set is maintained. Now my count is 29, right? Now let's come back to this page and click on this. You'll see the application state retained value will be retrieved and the value will be appended. Right? Same way, continue here. 34, click on this, 35. Now this is in same browser. You can see that the actual things are happening in this. right? So let's go to across browsers, right? So let's see how it actually works across the browsers. Now let me click on any of the browser. Let me take some Avant browser or something. Now here you can see I actually made some other browser here, and you can see there is a 35 and it got a 30. Click on the counter, you can see I'm actually increasing the counter here. And now the latest counter is 46. Go back to any page and click, you can see it's 48. Right? Now which means what is happening here is your application state will always be same right across your now this will not be killed until we actually reset the application state or reset actual server. Now how to do that? Now anyways we have this IIS Express, right? So you can right click on this IIS Express and you can actually see all sites. So maybe you can see show all applications, right? Now you have something called Web Intro here and Web Intro Basic. Maybe you can see which code we are running. We are running 1256. This is not okay. Let me just stop off. Right, I click on stop off, then it actually went off. Stop all this here. Right. Now you can see the main browser went out, right? Now let me run it again. So when I run this, you can see the counter is set. Now let me go back to this, right? Go back to the old page here. And when I click on this counter, you can see it will actually take that latest one. Right? So this is how the application state works, where it will actually take the latest counter, latest value. So until your application is completely reset or it is completely done with resetting, right? It will not actually change. Right? It will be persistent. Now this is how the scope of your application state will be. So that's how the application state, right, will be scope to application till it is alive. Right? So these are the application statements, and these are the few things how you can see as we are actually moving from one page to another page. You can see that we are able to get or move the data from one page to another page and get different details in it. Okay? So this is how we actually work with, these are different styles we have where we are actually saving some data in sessions, and persisting of sessions we are actually checking out where we have seen something called different ways to persist data across sessions, across application states, across use states mainly. Right? Now this is about you have states. Now let's see how we can actually use a query string, right, or a cookie to actually move on, right, across pages, how to persist data across pages. First let's start with the query string. Let me close up. What is a query string? Now, query string is something where we normally communicate data through URL, right, or basically through HTTP protocol, right, and content will be attached to HTTP protocol, right, in a form of key and value page. Right? So let's see how it actually works. Let me take two pages now. Let me take a form which is form 7. Let me take one more, which is form 8. it's form 7 and form. So let's see how it is actually going to work. For form 7, here let me take it as let me take a simple text box and button. We have a simple text box and let's go back and take. So here let me just break this, right, and let me call this as page 7. You will see whatever data I'm actually persisting in the text box 1, I want to move to, let's say, in form 7 I want to move to form 8 and assign it to label. Let me just take a label here and let me just slide it up. So I'm using this label here, right, which is in form 8. Right. So let's go back to form 7 here. So let me make form 7 as starter.
No, please. Side from the future. I mean, hardly.
Now when I run this, you can see that I'm actually using form 7 and button and all, right. So let's give it a break here. So let's go to the code back. Now in my form 7, what I want to do, whenever I click on this button, right, I want to move to form 8 using, I want to pass this text data right through my query string to form 8. Now let me rename this, let's say send, right, double click on this, where event will be created. Now we know that how can I move from form 7 to form 8? Now, on the code, I can actually directly use my response redirectly. Right? We have many other redirects. How we can actually work. We'll see that part. Right? I would say form 8. Right? Dot ASP. Now this is how we normally move from page 8 to form 7 to form 8. Right, click on this cell. Now you can see you actually get to page form 8 database. Now let's see how to send data. So here, as soon as we actually populate something, right? Now how can I actually combine this with the actual, the linking string here? Now query string will always start with something called the question mark. Now we have already seen the query string part. Let me take a sample here. So let's go to Google and just say I'm just typing in something called all. Right? Now you can see here, let me copy this URL. Right? And let me make it here. Now you can see, just identify this. So this is a protocol we have. Right? This is a domain. And you can see immediately there is something called question mark started, which means whatever you have actually provided, right, now it is actually taken in a key and a value form, which means you can see this is something which is a key and a value. Now from this part, whatever we have is something which is a query string. Now ampersand we have. Now you can see EI is equal. So these are all key, which is understandable by, let's say, we will get this section. And you can see here, these are the queries. You can see each key and value is separated by ampersand. Right? We have a key value for one entity en value, again ampersand, en value, and something else. Right? Don't worry about this, something which is actually going to later. Right? It contains these many keys and values, and this is called as your query string. And we are going to build this. How we can actually build this? Go back here. See here what I can do. So let's say here, let's say this text box is something called name. Let me take name is equal to. Now I have to append the data here. Let's say I'll take text box control text. Now when I do this, as soon as it is going to form 8, right, it will also append this text. Now the question is how to read this here. In my format, let's go to the code. Here what I have to do, I have to read my query string, right? And once I read the query string, then I have to actually copy it back to my label, because we are actually making to label to the same. Right? So let's see how to do that. So we have something called request object dot. You can see there is a thing called query string. Right? And query string will always give you the output of system dot collections dot specialized dot main value collection. Right? Let's take that. So let me just import that using system dot collections dot specialized dot. And let me take main value collection. Let's say some collection. Collection is equal to list. Right? Just it. And from collection we have called, you can actually take, you can see, either you can take it as index or you can give a name. Now what is this name? This is nothing but your key you are providing. In terms of what you are providing, your key is name, right? Now I will take that name here, and let's say I'm assigning you with label one dot is equal to. Right, this is how we read a query string and we assign the values. So let's run this and see how it goes. Now this is form 7 we have. So let's say here name, let's say I'm just giving it a Sam. Click on Sam. Now see, we have Sam here. Now notice this URL, how it actually changed, got changed. It is HTTP, the localhost, we have this, and we have port, where you can see we have a resource here, and you can see your query string started, which contains the key and a value, which is name is equal to SAP. Now this is something which is your query string details, key and a value details. So this is all about the data you have, right, which actually contains your domains, ports, and resources, and you have networks. Right, so this is how you normally create a query string, and you can actually increase this query string to any number of levels. Let's say I'm going to take, this is your name, let's say I'm going to take one more text box here, right? So let's say this is for some role, right? And what you can do, you can actually build your query string again. So each and every key should be separated with ampersand, right? Again, right? Query string, directly called as row, which is roll number, is equal to, I'll again add my text box to text, where I'm actually going to provide my code. Now in format, let me take one more variable. And this is for my roll number text, and I'm going to take same properties here, right? Using the solution. Now in my form 8, right? So I can actually assign my label to dot text with my call, which is a column, and then the collection which I have with something called row. Right? So make sure whatever query string key you are using, right? The same key should be used here to get the data. Now let's run this and see how this will work. Now let me give the name Sam and the roll number as Sam 123, click on send. Now you can see you have Sam and 123. Now look at the queries. Now look at the URL here, how it is working. You can see this is a query tree where we have your name and ampersand. Ampersand is something which is splitter, and then you have it. Now you can see this is the complete stuff. Data here. Yeah. So this is how it actually works, right? Where we have this data ready, right? And we're actually passing details to this. So this is a query scheme. Now this is how we normally pass data using queries. Let's see the next one, which is cookies. Now, how to create cookie, like normally called browser cookie, right? Now, even if it is browser cookie, we normally should call it as technically as HTTP cookie, right? HTTP cookie here to actually send some data. Now, obviously, you can actually send objects here, or you can actually save or store small amount of information here, and your HTTP cookies will always be saved in client side, which is in your browser cookies it will be saved. Now your query string will stay only till one level of page, which means, see here, whatever we have this query string here at page 8. Now if I am moving from page 8 to page 9, obviously my query string will not be detailed, right? Now from page 8 to page 9, when I move, which means I am actually going from one page to another page where I am not really any queries more anything, which means this query string will not be persisted. But if you if you want to persist this query string even across the pages, then you have to make sure that this query string is built for every level of page, right? Now that is a question. But here in case of cookies, right, so it will stay across till you clear the cookie. Right? Now let's see how we can actually create a simple cookie. Now in here itself, form 8 and form 7, let's say form 8 and form 7, and we'll see how it works in cookies. Right? So here let me just take out this query string now. Let's say we are going to work only in a cookie. Now we have HTTP cookie, right? So you can actually create one instance of your new instance of cookie, and you have to name the cookie. So let me call it as CK. See if we have a cookie, we have to name a cookie. Let's say this is named as some data. The cookie name is data. Right? And normally your name of your cookie normally will be not this simple. You have to really combine some date timestamp, some strings, custom strings, and encrypt that, and whatever keys out. Right? Using that you will be creating a cookie. Right? I mean that date timestamp will not be different, but it will be taking one cookie, because cookie is something, once you save the cookie, we always look whether the cookie is there or not. Take an example of login. Now, in login form, let's say you have a login username and password, right? And you have something called remember. When you click on remember, which means a different cookie will be created for you where your username and password will be saved. And that cookie ID will be encrypted so that no one can understand. So in that way, that cookie will actually be generated, and every time you get back your page, right, your data will be persisted. Right? Let's see how it's going to work here. Now, let's say in this cookie, I'm going to save two different things. You can see how to save values in cookie. You can take ck of key. Let me take key as name is equal to, let's say you have text box, one dot text. Right? Same way ck, how let me take second cookie as row. Now this, don't confuse with various things. You can actually take any. I'm just taking name as say text row, dot text. Right? Now here, this is a simple way how I can actually use my cookie. Now there are some prerequisites for this using a cookie, guys. If if your user is not naming cookie for any site, right, then these cookies will not work. Or if any browser that doesn't support cookie model, then even your cookie will not work. Okay? But most of the browsers will have cookies, right? Most of the users will enable cookie, but they'll actually clear time. That's what happens for security purposes. Right? Now, this is how we set cookie data. And now let's see how to read cookie data here. Now we have already seen it from body string, right? Let me comment it out and let's take HTTP cookie again. Right? Now here we are actually trying to set. Now before setting, we created the cookie, that's it. But we haven't added this cookie to the current response. Now until unless you add this cookie to the current response, right, so this will not be enabled in our browser. Right, now how can I add it to the current? Now you can actually do this using the response for, I think we have something called cookies.add. Yes. Right, now this is how we add a cookie to our response. Now the cookie is added in a client location, right? And then we can actually use this cookie to read whatever we want. Now let's go back and go for reading. Let's say I'm going to check whether my cookie that we got as ck1 is equal to new cookie, or we have to use the same name, right? The data is there or not. Right? It's always good to check if your ck1, which is cookie, exists or not. If it is not equal to null, then we'll do some stuff. Right? So then what you can do here, you can actually say, over there let me call label1.text is equal to your ck1, which is cookie1. You can see off, you can actually get the cookie. Now what is cookie1? It's a name here. Let me take the name, and similarly you have label2.text that is equal to ck1 out. We have a role. Take the role. Right? Now this is how we normally assign the labels to labels. Now let's run this and see how it is working. Right? Now you can see here we have, let's say, let me take scenario 1, 2, 3, click on send. Right? You can see here we did get it. Oh, okay. While we did, I think we have made a simple mistake here. Now we created this cookie directory. Now anyways, we have this cookie, right? Now if you create your cookie again, it will actually override your old cookie. Now this is wrong. Sorry for that. Now here what we have to do, we have to, whenever you want to read, right? If you want to read, you have to read a cookie, not create it. What can I read a cookie? We have a request dot cookies. We have added to our previous response, right? Now you can see, if you added it to previous response, then you will actually get it here in the request. You can see, I've added to my response all the cookies here. Same way you can actually see that you can actually move it from the request. Let's run this. Now here what we are doing, if there is a cookie called data, then we need to meet. And if there is real cookie existing, then it will take and it will load. Otherwise, anyways, we are checking whether it is not equal to null or not. Previously you can see we didn't add the cookie actual cookie tokens added, right? So that's why we did that. Now let me just use the data. Click on send. Now you can see our cookie works. Now let me copy this URL, close this browser, right? Now my application closed, right? Now open it again, right? And let me paste it and let me paste URL and now you can see now run it, right? Your actual cookie, whatever they are using, got disposed. Right? Why? Because by default, what happens, right? Until unless you specify the expiry of your key, right? Now it will actually stay till your browser is live. That's it. Now let me go back to form 7 and create this cookie again. Something, let's say some data. Send. Now you can see your cookie is in it. Now let's copy this URL and let me open one more session. Right, see, now your cookie is persistent. Why? Because in one of the session, the cookie is enabled. Now again, right, this is specific to browser. Right? If you open this in some other browser, see your in that cookies are not saved, so it will not be there. Now here again, if you close this browsers and open and see, again you will be using your cookie. Right? Now for this, what we have to do is we have to mention some expiry for this cookie. Now let's go here, let's say we have a cookie right now. While setting a cookie, you have some internal property of cookie called expires. When does it expire? Now I can say, let's say I'm going to take it as, it will stay till let's say now let's say I'm going to add time span, right? So let's say I want it to some interval of from here, which means now I'm actually setting some expiry. So what is set to expire state, right? Right, date time dot now here. Let me rebuild the solution. Right now you can see what is this? Overload does almost some invalid attributes. Cannot convert dimensions. Okay, expires new date time, and I'm doing date time here. Okay. So here I'm taking time span, so how many days, let's say I'm going to take, okay, my cookie can stay till 30 days, right? So from now, it will be like 30 days it can take, and after 30 days it will be expired. Now after 30 days, if you try to access this cookie, it will not be available. Now let's run this and see. So the previous cookie which you have seen, right, which will actually close or is closed as soon as you close your browser, is called as a non-persistent cookie. Right? Now and we are actually mentioning some expiry, which means this cookie will stay for some time, right? Now which means this is something which is called as a persistent cookie. Now let me give some name and some word to consent, right? Just check this. Let me just go back and revisit this cookie right here. Datetime dot now dot. Let me add days here of some 30 days. So it will tell the actual key. Right? Now here what I'm going to do. So here what I'm doing, I'm actually setting the key, right? Now here I'm actually reading the key. So while reading the key, let's say I'm going to make it as expiry. So I don't want to expire this till 30 days. No, sorry, this. actually let me take name and some phone number, click on send. You can see the actual cookie will persist. Now let's copy this, close the browser. You can see complete browser is closed and your application got closed. Let me open new or paste it up. Okay, now we see object information outside. This is how we normally check the cookies. We have total tools, right? And you can put delete history here, click on delete. Now you can see here we have cookies, right? So I have actually cookies. You can delete your cookies from here in general, right? So this is how you delete, but I don't want to delete. I'll go to advanced, right? And we have something. Disable your cookie. Yes, you can actually go to cache and you can see the cookies are disabled, right? So uncheck that and if you, now your cookies are enabled. Now go back here and you can always disable it, right? Now you can see you have different options of clear your cookies, clear session cookies, and clear cookies for complete domain. Whatever you have added in the current session, only those cookies you can clear, or you can clear all the domain cookies. What is the domain cookies? Now obviously whenever you create a cookie, right, it will be saved with the domain name, right? And all of them will be cleared out as soon as you actually click on clear for complete domain. Okay? So this is how it actually works in case of cookies. Right? That is something which is different ways how you can actually go to the cookies part, but I'll actually see because my browser seems there is some problem with cookies. That will just rectify it and then get back. Okay? So this is about different ways how you can actually persist data across sessions on the application. Now this is something which is called as a developer tool, and for development this is something which will be used as most. Okay? Now you can see the first, by default you can see two tabs here where this is actually used to track each and every element how it is loaded, and it is actually used for mode. Now you can see here we have a browser mode. You can see as of now, let's say I'm using IE9, right? Now you can see I can actually select different browser modes. Now it doesn't actually change my complete browser to IE8, as I said, but when I select IE8, now it will actually refresh my page, right, in an IE8 mode, that's it. And then do IE7, you can see, there is some change in page, right, which means it will actually make my page in IE7 mode, right. Similarly, when you select IE9, it will be in IE8, right. So this way, you can actually track. And again, you have something called HTML, right. Click on this and you can see, you can actually get what is the HTML you have, right. Now when you click on this arrow mark, right, you can actually track, okay, this is a D, right, refresh the page and click, and let's say this one, open your text box and your properties, so right. Now this is how you can actually set it, and you can actually use your developer tools for doing this. You can actually track your CSS, you can track your scripts, right? And different things. You can track your HTML, and if you want to see this, you can stylish that you can actually track to here. And this is your developer tool. Now let's go back and understand the events that which you are looking at. Now you have seen application events where you can actually have multiple events on your .sx. And what is page events here? That page event is something which will occur in your page, right? There are many page events, but there are some sequence of page events which actually gets triggered. Now let's see when we click here. Let me take it as page events. And this is my form. Let's go back, right? So in page events, right, you can actually get all the events, right? Whenever a page loads, right? Whenever the ASP looking page loads, right? Now there are different stages how it actually loads, right? But till now we have seen only one event called your page load event, right? This is not the only event, right, which we need to get. Now there are many events, step by step it will get triggered, right? And in each event, right, it will actually do some task. Now let's see step by step how to do that. Now for actually to get all the events for a page, you can actually go to page. Now right click on this. Okay, if you're not getting this, you can actually view, or you can actually go to view. We have something called component design. Click on this. Right? You have component design. So this is a page. Right? Component design, right click on this and go to properties. Now here, click on this component designer. Your page events, go to events. So now you can see these are all the events which you have. Right? Per page. So here, now all these events, right, will actually get triggered in sequence. The first event which actually get triggered is here, pre-event. Now pre-event is the one which gets triggered for the first time whenever your page get request to start. Now in pre-event, what happens is all your post back, call back, or your all the properties are set in this stage. Double click on this to actually make a pre-event. Now you have a pre-event event here. Now instead of actually taking the name of your current page, let me replace in future page underscore pre-event. So that we are actually calling the actual. I'm going to take this. Now initially it will actually create my initial contents. Don't worry about this. You don't need this, which is a pre-event. Now let me just give you the pre-event also. So let's go sequentially. Pre-event is the one which will get triggered for the first time, right? A page actually gets request. Right? So let me just put it as response.be, right? So let's say pre-event. Right? Similarly, let's go to the next event. After pre-event, right? So you have which is event, initialize. Now this is something which will be initialized here, right? Where all your controls, right? All your page view states will be initialized. And all your server-side controls and everything will be initialized in this event. Go back here and let's say this is event. Now let me make it as page underscore event, which is the second event. Now the next event which you have is, see, okay, you get this because you are actually having this one. We have page underscore event. Right? Go back to properties. Now after event is done, you can see pre-event, you have event, initialize, and then you have something called event complete, which is your initialize is completed. Right? So this initialize complete is something which occurs immediately after your pre-event. Let me double click on this, you can see we have this. Give this color, then just say it is direct page underscore 8. Right, let me call the response dot write. Let me just put the direct page here. Similarly, that will be surface here, and that will be complete. Right? This is a page, not complete. A page, Let's go back to this. And now you have done the pre-edit, init and init complete, which means your initialization part is done. Now we can actually look into this ways. First step will always be your initialize, right? You can actually divide actual things into three different ways, which is initialization will actually occur, right? Then a loading will occur, right? And after loading is done, your rendering will occur, and after rendering is done, it will be unloaded, and if there is any errors, you will have error. Now you can actually keep this in mind. Obviously, whenever a page starts, there will be something before loading. It has to be some pre things which will be going to inits. Now in init, what different events you have pre-init, you have init and init complete, right? And then it comes to load, which is page load, right? And there will be preload. Even before loading, it will load preload. And in page load itself, you have something called control events and load complete. And then once load complete is done, which means your complete page is ready and it is ready to render on page. So during the rendering, you have a rendering events, different events in rendering, right? After complete rendering is done, which means your page is completely ready and shown to user. Once everything is done, then you have an unload event, right? If you want to clear in resources, you have unload, right? And after that you have the error, which is if there is any error across, you will actually do. So we'll come back to this later, right? So this is how you can actually keep different events in mind, right? Now here we have seen the event complete, right? Now let's see the init load. Habitual convention is like this. Now let me call it as page load, right? Which is that page load convention, which is the next event, which is a page load. We will change everything, all the names later. So once a page load is coming right now here, so we have one thing. Even before page load, we have something called preload, right? So even before page load is triggered, we have a preload here. Let me just copy this preload back to page load. Right? The preload occurs actually here, right? And after that, we have something called preload, we have load, and then we have something called load complete, right? So load complete is an event which will be triggered, right, once your loading is done. Which means after page load event, your load complete will be done. From here, in your load complete, right, what happens in this preload? Preload is something where it just triggers just before page load. If you want to initialize something, you can initialize it here. Now, your page load is something where the actual page load occurs, right, with all, even before your everything like which event type it is, right? It will actually make all the dynamic controls, pre-initialize, everything will be ready. But here, all your individual controls, right, individual custom controls, everything will be loaded in here, right? And what happens after this event, which is load complete? Load complete, this is an event where all your control events will be handled, right? Because control events have to be tagged, right? Now that will be done. Now let me change this to page underscore load, and page underscore preload, and page underscore load complete. Right? So till now, what we have done? We have done with the loading part. And then what we have? We have rendering. So in rendering, we have something called pre-render, right? And then you have something called pre-render generator. We have these two events, right? Why we don't have rendering? Because rendering is something which is completely done as a part of retrieving HTML and CSS, right? But it is actually done in pre-render. Now here, let's change it to pre-render here, which is page underscore render. Okay, the page. Now which means we are done with the rendering. Now the next one is the unload. Go back and click on. Now this is the last event which will be triggered, right? Once you have complete pages. Right? Now let me make it as page. But here your unload is something which till here all the resources, which means your response object will be killed till here. Right? Now let's copy this and see how it works. Now let me just copy it all and we'll actually paste the events here. Now here let's not copy page unload, because here if you make response, right, the response object would have disposed even before coming to unload. Now that's the reason that if you unload, we will see this part later. Now here init complete, your preload copy here, and page load and load complete, right? Your re-render complete, and then now let's run this page. So let's name this page page events starter, like this. Right, you can see you have your let me just add some new line here. Now you can see pre-init, init complete, preload, load complete, pre-render, re-render complete. Right? So these are the different events which actually will get triggered whenever you are actually loading a page, whenever your page loads. Right? And then you have page unload. Now this is something where the complete response object will be disposed. Now if you try to make use of this, right, you can see what happens when I run this page. Right, you can see you will actually get a issue here. It says response is invalid content because the response object is no more exist. Right, so that's the reason why we have. Now you can use this unload to just to release some resources. Like let's say you have created some connection, release it here, right? Now this is something which is also called as a page life cycle, right? In your page life cycle, these are the events which will get triggered. Right? So this is what we have today. Let's meet up in our tomorrow's class and see more things.